if you could maintain a firm hold of your operations from anywhere. Complete with the choice to find the perfect balance between work and freedom. As a leader, the significance of your role is unparalleled. That's why we make sure no matter where you are, your financial freedom is guaranteed. People's Bank Online Corporate Banking. Imagine business anywhere.
In a few moments, the news.
People's Bank Online Corporate Banking. Imagine business anywhere.
This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Dulmin Samrasinghe and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The President instructs police to take measures to prevent taking children for demonstrations. The Prime Minister says community water supply projects contribute directly to strengthen government's food security program. The opposition leader points out that a legal system that protects national security should be introduced. The UNP chairman requests everyone's support to the president's efforts to bring the country under a national policy. Foreign news, Russia detains suspects in connection with the explosion on a bridge linking Russia to Crimea. In sports cricket, ICC bans Meher Chaikar on corruption charges. News in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has pointed out using children as a shield for rallies is a serious legal offence. He has instructed police to take immediate measures to prevent taking children for demonstrations. The President has given these instructions during a discussion on protection of children's rights and protection of human rights of the children by the President at the Presidential Secretariat today. Steps were taken on the occasion to entrust responsibility of protecting children's rights to relevant institutions and the police. The need to draft a bill to protect children's rights in order to protect them from sexual abuse and to protect their human rights was emphasized on the occasion. The President advised the officials to take necessary measures in consultation with the Attorney General. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says that community water supply projects contribute directly to strengthen the government's food security program. The projects are implemented to develop the villages and to provide clean drinking water. Another aim of the projects is to grow the economy of the communities. The Prime Minister mentioned this during an inspection tour of Ambilipitiya Tunkama Suwadivi Community Water Project. The opposition leader, Sajith Premdasa, says a legal system that protects national security should be introduced. He said many reforms are needed in the country, but elections must not be postponed due to those reasons. Addressing the media in Kandy today, the opposition leader said scientific and professional solutions must be found for the crisis in the country. The chairman of the United National Party, Vajra Abeyewardene, has pointed out that everyone should give their support to the President's efforts to bring the country under a national policy. He said with the activation of People's Councils, the entire country will become activated, including the National Council and Parliament. The UNP chairman said people who wish for a change in the political system should understand this. Minister Bandula Gunawardena says a scientific solution is needed for the problems in the country. He said only politicians should not be held responsible for the present issues, as wrong advice of certain financial experts has also contributed to the situation. The minister said public representatives are responsible for state financial management. He said Parliament should be used for that process. Attention has been paid to develop cooperation between universities in Sri Lanka and Russia. The Russian government has expressed willingness to increase higher education opportunities and number of scholarships for the local youth. The Ministry of Education said those details were discussed when Minister Susil Premjayatne met Russian Higher Education Ministry Valery Folko in Russia. Medical Research Institute says tests are being conducted to find out whether there is aflatoxin in food. Head of its nutrition unit, consultant Dr. Renuka Jayasisa said there is a possibility of these fungus forming in any food when the temperature and humidity becomes high. She said if it is found in any food item, it will be removed from the people's food chain. Therefore, she requested the public not to entertain unnecessary fears. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Online Corporate Banking. Imagine business anywhere.
The live Twitter Spaces discussion on reforming the justice system will be held on Friday from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. via the Parliament official Twitter account at Parliament LK with the participation of Minister Wijedas Rajapaksa. Parliament's Communications Department said questions from the public related to reforming the justice system and constitutional reforms can be directed under the hash LK Ask MP, and the public are invited to direct their concerns by connecting and engaging live on that day. Parliament of Sri Lanka has expressed its support for the installation of an electronic voting system in student parliaments operating across the country. As a start, an awareness program was recently conducted by the Parliament of Sri Lanka on the use of the electronic voting system for the student parliamentary election held at the Ahaliaguda National College. Parliament's Communication Department said students and teachers also had the opportunity to present their ideas and suggestions during the program. And that ends local news for now.
Imagine if you could maintain a firm hold of your operations from anywhere. People's Bank Online Corporate Banking. Imagine business anywhere.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Inland Revenue Amendment Draft Bill has been published in the Gazette by the government printer. The Gazette has been issued by the Minister of Finance, Economic Stabilisation and National Policies to amend the Inland Revenue Act No. 24 of 2017. If passed in Parliament, the proposed bill will revise a number of levies and further empower the Inland Revenue Department as the primary agent for collecting taxes and dealing with issues arising with taxes on behalf of the government. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And on Watchlight this evening, the Sri Lanka Economic Summit 2022, organised by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce under the theme Resetting from Turmoil to Opportunity, will be held on December 5th and 6th at the Shangri-La Hotel in Colombo. The SLES 2022 will focus on key levers that will lead to macroeconomic stability as well as ensure private sector-led growth, enabling the country to swiftly embark on a growth trajectory and implement short and medium-term reforms. And that was Watchlight. Moving on to world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
We give you the strength to rise higher and higher.
Never step back, but always march forward.
Empowering you to reach greater heights. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
The headlines: Russia detains suspects in connection with the explosion on bridge linking Russia to Crimea. The US reviews ties with Saudi Arabia. An investigation finds TikTok profits from live streams of families begging for donations. Russia says it has detained 8 people in connection with Saturday's explosion on a key bridge linking Russia to Crimea. Its FSB security service said 5 of those held were Russians, while the others were Ukrainian and Armenian. It says Kyiv was behind the attack, but a Ukrainian official described Russia's investigation as nonsense. The news came as explosions were reported in Ukrainian cities of Kherson, Zaporizhia and Nikopol. The Biden administration has said it will re-evaluate ties with Saudi Arabia as United States lawmakers grow increasingly critical of the Gulf Kingdom following a decision by a group of major oil producers, including Riyadh, to cut petroleum output. The U.S. Department of State spokesperson Ned Price said today that the U.S. is reviewing its relationship with Saudi Arabia in consultation with lawmakers in Washington and allies abroad. A BBC investigation has found displaced families in Syrian camps are begging for donations on TikTok, while the company takes up to 70% of the proceeds. Children are live streaming on the social media app for hours, pleading for digital gifts with a cash value. The BBC saw streams earning up to $1,000 an hour, but found the people in the camps received only a tiny fraction of that. TikTok said it would take prompt action against exploitative begging. Back to the headlines of the world news. Russia detains suspects in connection with the explosion on a bridge linking Russia to Crimea. The U.S. reviews ties with Saudi Arabia, and an investigation finds TikTok profits from live streams of families begging for donations. That ends World News.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
Amidst all challenges, we will rally around you and advance.
In the face of hardships, let's stand strong together.
Empowering you to reach greater heights. People's Listening, the trusted leader.
On development news, Sri Lanka is one of the top 5 nations to benefit from Korea's Economic Development Cooperation Fund. Republic of Korea Ambassador Santosh Woonjinjong, addressing the National Foundation Day celebrations of the Republic of Korea held in Colombo recently, said the investment in various projects benefiting Sri Lanka since 1987 exceeds $900 million of concessional loans through Korean Exim Bank. And that was development news.
Sports News is brought to you by...
With many values that bind us beyond the transaction, we are Sampath Bank. We present your future.
On sports, it's cricket. Meha Chayakar, the man linked to the corruption cases involving UAE cricketers in 2019, has been banned from all cricket for 14 years after the ICC tribunal found him guilty of 7 breaches of the ICC and Cricket Canada anti-corruption codes. The offences for which Chayakar was banned relate to matches during the Zimbabwe vs UAE series in April 2019 and the Global T20 Canada in 2019. And that was sports news.
A special interest rate of 15% on savings certificates opened in October. Prarthana for children, Prarthana Plus for adults. NSB Prarthana, your dreams realized.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
99X was recently awarded the Great Place to Work legend status by the Great Place to Work Institute, following their achievement for the 10th consecutive year. The coveted position highlights 99X's unwavering commitment to maintaining an open and diverse workplace for employees and standing by its workforce amidst unprecedented times. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by...
When I grow up, I'll fly to the moon somehow.
Envision your future now. NSB Prarthana will show you the path to your dreams. This Thrift Month, open a savings certificate. It's a long-term investment on your future with great returns. A special interest rate of 15% on savings certificates opened in October. Prarthana for children, Prarthana Plus for adults. NSB Prarthana, your dreams realized.
On economic news, the value-added tax system, one of the most important sources of tax revenue, is underperforming the tax rate and exceptions given on over 130 items in the VAT system and many others. Principal Tax and Regulatory KPMG Suresh Pereira said inconsistency of policies in Sri Lanka's tax system and the retrospective laws impact all the businesses. That was economic news. And on to the weather report. The Met Department says showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the western, northwestern, central and Sabragama provinces and Galle and Mathura districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur elsewhere over the island during the afternoon or night. Fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters can be expected at some places in the western, central, Ua and Sabragama provinces and in Galle and Mathura district. That was the weather report. And to conclude this news broadcast, the headlines again. The President instructs police to take measures to prevent taking children for demonstrations. The Prime Minister says community water supply projects contribute directly to strengthen government's food security program. The opposition leader points out that a legal system that protects national security should be introduced. The UNP chairman requests everyone's support to the President's efforts to bring the country under a national policy. Foreign news, Russia detains suspects in connection with the explosion on a bridge linking Russia to Crimea. And on sports, it's cricket. ICC bans Meha Chayakar on corruption charges. And with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.